Well, good morning, everybody. This is Tuesday, the 21st of March, second day of spring. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get a video up for you guys, but I'm here now. It seems a lot of you were very interested in my commentary on the Civil War that has begun. And I'm here to elaborate on further fronts of the Civil War that are going to affect all of us. And especially today, I would like to address you women, especially you women who consider themselves progressive, liberal, who consider themselves to be feminists, or just more on the left side of the issues politically, morally, and socially. Okay. I've been watching a lot of in the last recent months since the election, the women's marches that have been taking place in Washington and other places. Now, let's be fair and let's be honest. None of these marches have anything to do with the rights of women. Let's just be clear on that now. Everybody's up in arms about the fact that Donald Trump won the election and suddenly now we're not going to have any rights of women. Okay? And I especially would like to address minority women too, because if you know anything about the history of the feminist movement, if you know anything about the history of their side arms, the tentacles, if you will, being Planned Parenthood, the National Organization for Women, especially the latter, not one of these organizations gives a hoot in hell about the plight of minority women, serious plight of minority women. Otherwise, it would be in the inner cities and all the areas where poverty, where illegitimate births are occurring. They would be there to help and sustain and uplift an entire segment of our population. But you will not see that. And we're going to get on to Planned Parenthood right now. Planned Parenthood, let's find out what we need to know about them. Founder Margaret Sanger, a eugenicist, a fellow traveler of Adolf Hitler, who believed that minorities, and particularly black people, were the weeds of human society and needed to be weeded out. What's the best way to do that? Get the babies before they're born. And ever since that time, people who have advocated Planned Parenthood, which, by the way, does nothing in return to prenatal health and care, their whole business is the business of abortion, of killing children in the womb before they're born. Where are they set up the most? In minority neighborhoods, in middle-class neighborhoods. You don't really see them in Beverly Hills because those folks can afford their own private doctors to do what they have to do. And in fact, they never worry about getting pregnant because they have their Cadillac plans that give them the options of all kinds of birth control, which they can afford, and they don't have that problem. Just to give you an idea, too, that Planned Parenthood, in terms of African Americans, has killed more African Americans than the KKK could ever hope to do. Now, you go out there and espouse your reproductive rights, which is a joke, that somebody in the state needs to be responsible for your proclivities. And you need to wake up and realize that the left hierarchy and the organizer of the left, including Hillary Clinton, basically see you guys as nothing more than walking vaginas. And you certainly proved that when you went on your women's march with your little vulva hats and your breast umbrellas, which looked like, it just made you look like idiots. Who the heck can take you seriously about your rights when all you see in yourself is as a reproductive system, a vagina and a pair of ovaries? Is that your definition of who you are as a woman? Well, let's get on to that. Everybody in the left, especially now, and this has come of late, this whole idea of jumping off the women's feminist/feminist bandwagon onto the transgender bandwagon. And you see now that we have to accept alternate genders of people that, in my mind, is ludicrous. And you know why? You women who claim to support the idea of transgender are letting your doom in by the front door. Why? Because you see the men who are going to be going out and claiming that they're transgender, that they are now a woman in a man's body, but they can use your bathrooms, that now they can go ahead and compete against you in sports because they're women after all. and that they can also go, let's talk about the economics of this, ladies, that they can also go to a bank or any lending facility as a woman and claim that with all the initiatives that the government is offering for women entrepreneurs, guess what's going to happen? These men are going to be competing with women, that is, real women. They're going to be competing with you for loans, for all kinds of economic help. And they're going to get it because everybody wants to be politically correct, feel sorry for them, and give them what should have been rightfully yours. Now, on an economic level, they're not here. You're talking about now going right back to men taking what women have long fought for in the name of transgender, that any man who can go up and compete with women in a sports because he says he's a woman and he wants to compete with the other ladies, he's going to cream you, okay? He's going to compete with you economically in the form of bank loans and other economic initiatives. You're going to get creamed because he's a woman. Now, you talk to me about what might be fair and what might not be fair. Okay. The other issue that you need to look at, and this is what blew me away when I looked at that first women's march, that, by the way, was organized by a Sharia Muslim, which is really a joke, because if you girls had gone out there parading in your reproductive hats and umbrellas and taking your shirts off in public, God forbid you did that in the streets of Egypt or Iraq or Pakistan. If they didn't stone you right off, you'd be gang raped, first of all, and then you'd be murdered, okay? This is the thing, too, that feminists don't understand, is that you are so in support and so wonderful because you just can't stand the way history has done you in terms of how the Christian men have treated you. And Christian men are your enemy, as they have been labeled in countries like Sweden, Norway, places like that, where you have these so-called feminist utopias. You want to take a look at what's really going on when you let in all these immigrants that are coming from countries that are truly misogynist, truly abuse women, truly keep women as property and consider their value half of that as a man. You're sitting here and you're telling me that you assimilate more with a Sharia-backed religion that sees you as being nothing more than something they can get their men can get their jollies off of. You need to understand that your liberation and your, how shall we say it, value in terms of how a man sees you, the highest expression of that is going to be from alpha Christian males. The men who look at you as a daughter of God and who said that in Jesus' name are going to treat you that way, because the whole basis of that religion, Christianity being what I'm talking about, is love and respect and the value of life, and everybody being that of a child of God, not a servant of God. And if you look at the roots and tenets of Islam, ladies, you are going to be screwed, maybe literally, if you decide that that's going to be your way of looking at equality. If you look at every country that is Orthodox Muslim, and I'm talking like Saudi Arabia, where you couldn't even drive a car, you'd have to cover yourself up to the nines, that you are property to be raped whenever it pleases a man, that your husband can have additional wives, and if he doesn't like you, he can divorce you. And if you don't have sex with him every minute that he wants it, he can beat you until you submit. So you need to understand the tenets of a religion that has nothing to do with your equality, but you seem to want to embrace just because you'd like to diss the so-called establishment of the Judeo-Christian foundations that this country was set upon. And if you really want equality, you'd better look to the right source, where the basis of your equality comes from a tenet to the heart, where you are a daughter of God and not some sort of servant of Allah. Okay? Now, I'm sorry that this is going to piss a few people off, but that's just too bad. Those are the facts. And you ladies who are going out here and screaming about equality and your birthrights and things, why don't you, for a change, start behaving as dignified human beings that you know you can be, and get out there and start working with other people and not just shrill screaming about what your rights are. You know, here's this other thing that you better understand, that the majority of women in this country do not see themselves as feminists. We don't. We're not here to compete with men. We're not here to be men. We're not here to diss our men. We're here to support and uplift our men. Because if you look at the statistics in this country today, and if you look at it going back only, 40, 50 years, when you had a heterosexual two-parent home, children grew up very, very, for the most part, pretty secure. And that is the best social environment for raising children. Not in a mommy, daddy home, not in a transgender home, not in a single parent home. Now, I understand circumstances in life may set you into that situation, and you have no other redress but to make the most of it. I understand that. It's in my family, and I never condemn that situation. But if you're going to sit out there and tell me that the normalcy of this country is going to be single parent or homosexual homes where children are being raised, that's where I'm going to have to part company with you, because it's not true. And I understand that there are heterosexual homes that have a lot of problems too. Let's be real. I'm not trying to sit here and be a demagogue about certain lifestyles, but I'm going to tell you, you know the facts on this, and denying it is just basically covering your face or sticking your head in the sand when the facts are in your own face. The best situation is the family unit where you have a mother and a father who are married, who have had children in a covenant of marriage, preferably in a Judeo-Christian covenant, and even in a good Muslim covenant, as long as the understanding of the value of the woman is that is equal in heart and in status to men in that family as a daughter of God. There's no other way to look at it and see harmony to come out of that. And when you have families who are prayerful, who attend a house of worship several times a month, preferably weekly, then you have a very stable home environment. And you can argue with me and call me whatever names you want. It's okay. But honestly speaking, the facts are the facts. And you can give me all the anomalies in society that have occurred based on a lot of the times. Those anomalies are based upon what the left has done to socially engineer the family by first taking the fathers out of the home, i.e. welfare, and then coming up now with this transgender sexual orientation argument about what is gender, trying to establish the fact that there are more than two, when we all know biologically there's no more than two genders. You can engineer anything you want and make yourself feel good, but you can't argue with nature. Okay, men are men, women are women. You want to change that? Fine. But you can't really tell me that God didn't make more than two. Look at the book of Genesis. It's evident, and it goes throughout the Bible that way. You don't like the Bible? Tough noogies. It's the oldest book around that's been not altered and tells most of the truth. But I just want to let you know that all these other things that have socially engineered the family, i.e. the society and the nation, right now they're trying to, the left and all those who are espousing these so-called alternative lifestyles, what they're trying to do is homosexualize the country, is transgenderize the country, and take away the social unit that has been intact for thousands of years, that has brought civilization forward. And frankly, in the state of this country, the United States, in the short time we've been around, has caused this country to prosper and thrive. You take that away and you will see what we see now, and that is the deterioration of not just the moral fiber, but the deterioration of economics, of social norms, of prosperity, and everything else that the left is trying to do to destroy this nation. And if you ladies are serious about making yourselves equal, you start better uplifting Christian men, because in that type of God-centered patriarchy, you have your ultimate value, you have your ultimate protection from evil, and you have a system by which you can securely raise the children you love in a home that God is the center of. Now, if you can give me a societal norm that is better than that, I'll roll with it. But until then, I think we better start looking at what made this nation great, and I think it's a good idea to stick to it. Okay, I am the mama of the dynamic mother-daughter duo. Thanks for listening, and be sure to visit my page, Lisa Ellenson, at Amazon.com for the latest novels and stories that I've written that are available now through Amazon.com. My latest book being Whatever It Takes, A fairy tale of getting even. Okay, thanks a lot. I'll talk to you soon. And you guys, God bless you and have a great day.